Okay, on my computer, I show it as 8:30. Good morning. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Pershing County Board of Commissioners. Today is Wednesday, December 15th. I'll call this meeting to order, and our first order of business is the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I would add that in yesterday's wind, it blew one of my flagpoles over.
Wow.
Surprised me. Okay, we have approval of minutes for November 3rd.
I didn't see anything.
I have.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I didn't see any corrections.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh.
It's okay.
What did I do? What did I do?
So I'll make the motion to approve the meeting.
And I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Public input, public comment and discussion. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on that agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Public commentary will generally be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any public comments? Anybody on Zoom, Justin?
No one is indicating that they wish to make a comment.
Nobody on Zoom. Number 3, review of all agenda items to determine if any do or do not impose a direct and significant economic burden on a business or directly restrict the formation, operation, or expansion of a business.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't either.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Road Department.
Great.
We were working out by C-Punch, talked to you, I think we were doing that. Maybe we weren't last time we talked. Anyways, we hauled water out there before we got some weather. C-Punch was nice enough to let us get water. And now we finished that whole flat and up and over the mountain. Tuned it up, so that's a good thing. Busy road. Then that blade headed for, well, we broke one in the meantime. I think I did report that. It happened at the day before the last meeting. So that one's in the doctor. Still don't know how much. They shipped the transmission out to get repaired. And unfortunately, they didn't tell Jeff how much, and I didn't think to ask him until this morning. So I don't have a price for you guys, but anyways.
It's gonna be a bunch.
Yeah. But anyhow, so we moved in another blade, and Galen went out, finished the limbo area, and now is back. Gonna finish from the ranch north. We can go that way. That's a major road. We found some more. We keep finding washouts from that big rain event. So we fixed some out here on Milledge Road, and then there's some on the Iron Mine Road, some real good ones, I guess. Put a pickup in, so we got those marked and we plan on fixing them the next couple of days. Been hauling sand to core. We got to haul more up there. We bladed Duncan's Road. We started graveling, before the weather hit, for something to do from the bridge this way. So that's a good thing. We got pit run on it. It's going to be a good road when we're done. It tends to blow out all the time. So it's been on the list for years.
Is that sort of frontage road in?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're working on that, or we were working on that. We went and picked up that new equipment trailer. It's going to be a nice backup. It's not quite as versatile as the trailer that we have and the one we want to buy eventually, but it's a good stopgap thing for the money. So we'll be making use of that. And then of course we've been plowing snow. We did Coal Canyon that first. We had a little storm about a week ago or whatever, and then of course yesterday Corps called me 5 a.m. Their plow was down, so we were able to go up there. I didn't figure it was going to stick too bad in the valleys here, so we Headed right up there, spent a few hours up there, then went and did Coal Canyon. By the time we got back here, the valley was melted mostly. So we went back up core because they were still struggling and put some more sand down. It was pretty good when we left. And hopefully they get their plow up. We'll find out today. And then, of course, we plowed Unionville, plowed the Grass Valley area. Then we did some other blading in this valley. We bladed Clint Lane, Raymond Road, Trap Club Road, and Kevin and Bill are out in Dixie Valley blading out there with the rain that we got. They also plowed Dago, and today they're headed over to do those washouts. So that pretty much covers that.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
Landfill?
And Phil's still waiting to hear how much the 38 is too.
Yeah. Did you see an email from Linda? What's his? I forget anyway.
Yeah.
The Bruffner sent him an email yesterday. Oh, he had questions about some recycling.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently we were supposed to send in a report from
Yeah.
recyclables for 2020. So I'm gonna try and gather that up and get him the information he needs. And we cleaned up Grass Valley twice since I talked to you guys, and Emily once, and they're gonna come get our metal pile they clean. They're gonna give us $90 a ton. I guess that's pretty good right now. So it's pretty much all I have for landfill. That's
Cool.
Stay warm.
questions. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I was gonna let you guys know, I'm thinking about renting a blade to replace that blade that's down. I'm still working on that. I hope to have, well, I was supposed to get an update on the blade and an update on the price
Did you get the other one welded?
of the rental. Yeah,
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 not
it's back
welded.
in service. Yeah, absolutely. But I haven't heard from the guys, so I'm gonna go call them now, so. But yeah, if we do rent one, it'll be RTC money. I have plenty of money in the budget, so
Yeah.
that's the plan. All righty.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Buildings and grounds.
Good morning.
Morning.
Not a whole lot has changed since last time, other than we got kind of surprised by those snowstorm yesterday. That was only supposed to be a little bit, ended up being a little more than what we were expecting that early in the morning. Our lights in the park keep getting tripped due to moisture. So we keep having to fix that and trace it down. We think we've located the leak on the roof of the community center, and we attempted to patch it this last week.
Do a lot of those light ends up in the little fuse or something?
Well, it's just in the plugs where they tape together.
Yeah.
They didn't tape theirs around theirs,
Yeah.
so we've been going around fixing that. The guys have been putting shelving together at the senior center, and we're also gonna do something over at the community center as well. Other than that, we've just been maintaining everything. Just been cold.
Yeah.
Any questions,
No,
concerns?
good. Thank you.
I have one question. In the past, the senior center kitchen has been buying their own kitchen cleaning supplies. Here recently,
I don't remember them having to buy their own cleaning stuff.
I spoke to Jordan McKinney about it, and she said that Christie always had it in her budget to buy their own supplies. And recently it's been more than just a couple bottles. It's been progressively getting more, and I was not budgeted to carry that much extra stuff.
Well, they can order their own stuff. I don't see why you shouldn't be supplying those facilities.
Because it was always prior to you coming to the office, and while Christie was there, they always did their own supply. It was just, this has recently just been put on me. Had I known about this in the past, it would never been an issue, but I was not prepared to supply that, because they go through a lot more stuff than my janitors even do in a shorter amount.
They do the cleaning.
So do my janitors.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you have the Denver names, I'd be glad to go back and do some history checking on who's bought and what.
Well, John and I had this discussion earlier this week, and this is why I brought my book. In the budget for the senior center, there's miscellaneous served supplies, there's office supplies, there's kitchen supplies. So it appears that they're in their budget, they can buy their own cleaning supplies.
Next up, senior center. Since we're talking about the
Yeah.
senior center,
Good morning. So I don't have a problem with every day.
Mhm.
Every day it gets swept, mopped, sanitized, desanitized, everything. My issue is the dining room is not getting cleaned. There's times I've gotten in there in the morning and I have to sweep. And sometimes even Kelly or Maria have to mop because it's not getting clean. The volunteers will wipe down all the chairs and tables once the seniors are gone. Because they do it and I'm in my office and we all pitch in. But it's not getting swept or mopped. And when we have been using the stuff that gets brought over from from John's office, we're having the janitor pick fights with one of our cooks saying, you can't touch my cleaning supplies. Well, he's not cleaning. That's the main issue. Like there's crumbs on the floor,
So have you discussed this with John?
No, I haven't. Me
Okay,
and
so-
Larry have sat down and talked about it because when either Myron comes in or John comes in, we get the John said or Myron said, instead of getting it from them coming to me or coming to Larry.
Okay, so it sounds to me like the cleaning of the dining room needs to be worked out between you and John and Myron. And if necessary, Shayla can get involved. As far as the cleaning supplies for cleaning the kitchen, it distorts our audit and our history of how we have purchased things in the past.
Right.
When we do that, plus John is correct, he didn't budget for it.
Mhm.
So,
And
my
that's
feeling
fine.
is
We get
that
it.
the kitchen supply should continue, but you need to work out, however, with the issue with the cleaning of the dining room. Yeah, I know that she just said that, but what I'm saying is you guys need to work that out
Mhm.
because obviously,
Is this
There's an
only for
issue.
kid, like cleaning supplies? What about trash bags?
I don't know what-
They use a different type of bag than what I use.
they're just regular black trash bags.
There's ones that get it with recycling bags, but which is what I purchased for the black for the machines here. For the recycling.
So for, our volunteers are sent, three of them, we have 3 volunteers that are off of a grant that the Frontier Coalition
Yes,
came up with.
yeah.
So we have this program called SAMS that reports to the state how many seniors are being fed a month and their ethnicity, their religious background, their disabilities. So we started doing this in November. And this is just to help us keep track of how many seniors we're helping and how much, I guess they work it off to how much funding
That's
They-
exactly what it
they
does.
provide. So for November, for the month, we have fed 746 seniors. And 45% are male, 55% are female. People with disabilities, we have 25%. Yeah, that's the report for November. We haven't gotten to December. We usually do them at the end of the month. But so far, we got that, and these numbers, Gianna, which is the admin assistant, she's been putting into the SAM's website, and that website hadn't been updated since July. So she's updated and current on that website, and how,
She's updated or she's current back to July.
yeah, no, she's past July
Good,
already. I
okay.
think right now she's in October. So, but it takes a while, because if the senior lived like in Churchill County, sometimes the system will shut down on you because it wants to make you go back to Churchill County instead of like going to Pershing.
Oh,
So there's a lot of back and, it's very fidgety. But she's right now, she's on the month of it's October, September. And we have had a couple of deceased seniors. So, but once they're in that system, we can't delete them. It just
Yeah.
says deceased, and but they
You
stay on
got
there.
some deleted or they did on the deceased.
Yeah, they'll just. December, so tomorrow is the deadline at 10 a.m. If anyone wants to drop off Christmas trees or the Christmas wreaths that we raffle off.
oh, you are doing that? Okay.
Yeah, I put it out, I put a post on Facebook, and it's in our newsletter. And our newsletter is, I think we've emailed it to everyone. We printed out.
Everyone we had emailed.
And there's copies in the senior center. If you guys want to come and grab some, there's the copy outside in the bulletin board. Tomorrow is the deadline to bring in the Christmas trees or wreaths. And that's at 10 a.m. because we'll start the raffle after they get done eating lunch and stuff. Or today on the menu, we have albóndigas and quesadillas. If you guys want to stop by and have a warm soup.
Good soup, good soup.
It's honestly, the food has been good so far. We haven't had any complaints. The only complaint is they want more beef, but they know we can't serve them beef every day.
And they don't want fish.
Don't like fish.
Really?
But it's a requirement. You have to do it
It's
twice a month.
Twice a month, we have to serve fish. They like the burgers though. They're really infatuated with burgers. And our Christmas dinner is gonna be on the 23rd, which is a Thursday. And for that, we're serving the pork tamales and cheese tamales with potato salad, refried beans, and their dessert is gonna be choco flan. So if you guys want to try the food, you're more than welcome to come in. You don't have to be a senior. And breakfast for December is Thursday, the 30th. And we are serving biscuits and gravy, hash browns, cranberry juice, and for fruit peaches. And the last thing I have is we have been working with the 11th Judicial, the juvenile program. And that juvenile program is the kids that are in high school that aren't in school Fridays. We've talked to Damien. It's as volunteers. They somehow are getting, they're like part-time job. They're getting paid by the judicial program to come and help volunteer on Fridays with anything the senior center needs. And this is just to get them out of trouble and keep them busy. So hopefully for their winter vacation, Damien will bring someone or Jasmine, and we could have them volunteer a couple of hours a day just to keep them busy and. out of
It's good
trouble.
for them to be around the seniors too,
Oh, yeah,
and for the seniors as well.
yeah. Hopefully they don't get picked on too much, but by the seniors. They're pretty, the older volunteers already know about the program. They know to have patience with the kids and we have our ones that are all for it. But other than that, that's all I have to report.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Wait a minute, don't go anywhere yet. So you have a report on the CDBG grant?
Yes, CDBG grant, is back up to speed. We did get our authority for Oasis, so that we can go ahead and submit the voucher for the equipment. There, the grant amount was for.
39 something.
Yeah, I was thinking 39.
There will be a little overage, so that will have to come out. Back up to
This is for replacement of the heating and air conditioning equipment at the center.
Is that the
The stuff on the roof.
electrical?
Huh?
That's not the electrical one?
That's coming next.
Oh, okay.
So then now we have in the past, not in the past, but we had a quote, or John had a quote from ND Energy to upgrade the service, the distribution system to serve the senior center. What?
Update the power to the building and the server and the panel outside.
Right, to go to a 400 amp panel. So a couple months, it's been a couple months ago now. That came up again, that when we were looking at the CDBG. I had asked John for an update on the cost to do that. And we didn't get an update. However, I did put in for a grant to pay for that outside work. Like I say, a couple months ago. Last week, we got an email back that grant was approved. That request was, or application was approved. It's in the amount of $66,450. So when I did that application, I put in there money for the MD Energy upgrade, and having not received the cost for a generator, I put money in for the generator too. I don't have the specifics on this grant yet, so I can't tell you what they did approve and what they didn't approve. Anyway, total of $66,450.
That's great.
Oh, we're still waiting back on the email, like you said, what was approved and what was not.
Yeah.
But last week, Tuesday, yeah, it was Tuesday, when we got the email from Miss Luna.
Yeah, somebody in
Miss
Vegas.
Luna.
And one of the things was, I'm trying to pull it up here. Of course I can't. Anyway, the 66,450, I'll learn more about what's included. You know what you have to do to get MV Energy on board?
Well, when this project was first started, you were handling the application part of that project. Familiar with how MV Energy does that process, and that application had to be for an update. And then you said you were gonna have an hour in. I was working with VSL to work on that end of that project.
I did not go to NV Energy to get that bid. You did. I didn't get that price from them. So I don't know who you dealt with to get that price from them. And then when I asked you to get that price updated, because it was several months old, I got no input. So I put in for what the information we had. We do have a grant available if we still need to do that.
So John, can't you contact NV Energy in Winnemucca, because I believe that's where they're out of, and just find out what the process is and get it going. And I believe we also put some money in the capital improvements to cover some of this that the grant wouldn't cover, which now your grant will help tremendously. So that's awesome. But yeah, I think you should just go ahead and contact Winnemucca NV Energy and get the process going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Giselle to talk to John about the issue with.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, thank you.
I see lots of people here for ambulance and fire report.
I know this is great. Your Christmas pancake breakfast was awesome.
I was just gonna thank you guys for supporting us for that, and
Oh, you're welcome.
went over real well, and we're gonna be doing that again next year too.
It did go over well, I thought.
Yeah. Did a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and I love the idea that you had pictures, we could
Yeah,
purchase the picture and stuff. That
and
was
good
great.
food. The food was
Yeah, the
excellent.
good food and good company. It was great.
And Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Claus was there.
Yeah, I got to like Santa.
Okay, on the EMS side, we are actually at 23 members now, so we're building up our group a little bit. We've got some new people to come in.
I'm all.
Oh, hi, Marty.
Marty, do you want to give the report, Marty? Or do you want to just?
Oh, go ahead. I was just letting you all know I was on.
Okay, so from November 26th till December 13th, you wanted us to give you a number of calls and stuff. I can't give you the full information about it because we have.
Oh, yeah, we
So-
don't want that.
But anyhow, we had 28 calls in that amount of days.
November 26th to where?
To December 13th.
Thank you for asking that again, because I didn't get it written down.
So anyhow, they've been really busy. They've had a lot of calls. 80% of our group, about 80% of them is up for renewal this year. And that has to be, we try to have all that in by December. Marty's been working hard on that to get everybody's CEUs and in that. The renewal isn't. We have until March to finish it up. I mean, everything's got to be in and you have to be approved to get your EMT license. So she's working on that just about every day, getting with somebody and starting to feed their CEUs into the system. It's all got to be done on a computer and sent into the state. And then everybody's doing that all at once. So it's a big deal to get that all done. Still training on Tuesdays. We did put on I wasn't here at the last meeting, but on the agenda, after you guys approved the job description, we didn't put anything on there for the agenda to put the job out.
Mhm.
So I
And
did,
there's nothing on the agenda this time either.
yeah, well, I didn't know about it. So I did the day after the agenda was out, I didn't see it. So I went down and talked to Karen. So we did put in a request for that. So that's in there. So on the January meeting, you'll have that, that'll be on the agenda. And just working with the ambulance crews. They're busy and everybody's getting tired. Hopefully we get some relief here pretty soon. Fires, we had a total of 11 fire calls. 8 of those were rescue, 3 of them were actual fires that we had to go on. We're rescheduled for the firefighter 1 test on January the 25th. The fire department's budget's looking good. We're still 72% left. So we've been watching that pretty close. All equipment's in good shape. We finally finished our remodel on the bathroom and the EMS storage. And that was something that the fire department did ourselves. We paid for that out of our own money and redid that. So I don't know if you've been in to look at it, but you guys weren't in there the other day. So, but anyhow, we remodeled that whole area out there and built a storage area onto it. And then we did the breakfast with Santa and that's about it. What's going on with us now? We're just hanging in there.
Thank you.
On
Good
your
job.
ambulance calls, how many ambulance calls have you had in this?
The last
time
what?
period? In the time period, the 26th through the 13th, how many ambulance calls?
28 calls.
Any transfers?
And just in that time frame of November 26th to
Yeah.
December 13th, yeah.
No transfers?
Transfers, we had 1 transfer that I know of. No,
One.
2. Actually 2. 2, Marty?
Technically two, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually go in and count those. I just counted it as an ambulance call, so we did have a couple transfers.
I'm looking right now, Rod. We're at 2.
So how's the billing coming?
Billing, Marty, how's that going?
I feel like it's good. I got my report and I'm staying up on it on my lunch breaks and tracking people down for signatures. Our department is doing good at getting them. Sometimes it's kind of hard when the patient's unresponsive, so we just put due to condition. I have the report right here, and we just had 2, and I had to let them know that one of them was incarcerated, so we cannot get a signature from that patient. So I think we are doing good. Just waiting. They give a report probably once or twice every 2 weeks. So I just wait for the report.
So I have an update on the Medicaid application. I filled it out and submitted everything on October 22nd. And I had help from Marty and also from Donna at the hospital and other people too. So I mean, it was great. And then the billing company, I had them look at it to see if there was anything that they could see. So I've been checking on it and haven't heard a word. So I called Medicaid and finally got a person, and they said I needed to resubmit it. For whatever reason, it dropped out of their system. But anyway, so I resubmitted it on, this was December, because I hadn't heard anything. December 3rd, I believe. So I called last week, and what they told me before was don't check online, even though it says you can check on your application online, because sometimes that'll knock it out. So I called and they've got it.
Check on it. And knock
And it
out?
says to do that. But anyway, I will argue with them when it comes time. But right now, I just want them to approve it. So I checked and they do have it. I asked how much longer it was going to be. And of course, they can't tell me whether it's going to be a month, 2 months or whatever, but it is retroactive for whatever that is worth.
Yeah. So you can basically.
Well, I'm going to argue that it needs to be retroactive to October 22nd, because
When
I
you put
have
it-
the proof that it was submitted then. Okay. But that, again, I'm dealing with the state.
Yeah.
So you can understand what Marty goes through with the state when she puts in an application for a EMS license for our new people and that. And it's the same thing, and you have to follow up and you have to follow up. And it's a system. And I don't know if it has to do with COVID or they don't have enough people to work there or what, but it's a big deal that they just.
The state is very ineffective and inefficient with
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
It's the same way with the health department and that aspect. I mean, believe me, I know.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we end up with people, we get them on there, they're actually an EMT already. And then Marty submits all the stuff and then you check up on it. They say, well, you need to do this. And then you do that. And then they say, oh, you have to resubmit the whole thing all over again. So then she's down there putting all that stuff back in again. And it's just, the system is a little bit broke right now, I think.
It's a lot broken. It has
Yeah.
been for years.
So
But anyway, I wanted to let you know, I'm staying on top of it. I'm not checking online because I'm afraid to do that.
yeah.
So I will just call and bug the tar out of it.
And it's really frustrating.
Hey, Carol, on Medicaid, just so you know, they are frustrating, especially Medicaid. But from usually how we know it from PGH is they will backdate 6 months from the date on your application. No.
They go back to the date of application.
Oh, go back to the date of application, Debbie says.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll go back to the original date, which like I said, I have paper proof that it was submitted October 22nd.
And
Yeah, keep everything and then keep emails. And I mean, that's what we have to do here at Pershing General is we document everything.
But then they only got 3 months once approved to get them all billed.
You're right.
And I appreciate your guys' help and Debbie, your help and Marty's both. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I think Mike's, we've been doing the inspections and then Mike might want to go and talk about giving them grants or.
Yeah, we got something on the agenda.
Yeah.
Come on up, Mike.
We did actually have a fire in the, well, actually, in the city, it wasn't quite a fire, but it was a electrical problem. And it was one of the old buildings in town. And I'm telling you, we're doing the inspections in town also. And some of the stuff that we saw over there at that.
And this
fire-
is a house, not a business.
This is actually a business.
Oh,
So
that's a business.
It's just amazing, some of the stuff that's still out there.
Oh, the old
Old wiring
aluminum
and
wire and
it's
stuff,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I had to actually lock out the power until they got fixed, and then I unlocked it, and then the electrician turned it back on, but they had to bring an electrician in and work on it. And
Wow.
but there's a lot of that old stuff out there that's just, I'm probably gonna be seeing more of it, especially in the winter time, because they're plugging in these heaters and stuff because
Space heaters.
to keep the rooms warm and stuff, and it's overloading them and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope everybody's safe though, on your side and for the people that are involved in. fire.
So anyhow, it was made sure it was corrected before the power was turned back on.
Good. So we'll jump down to number 6, which is asking for approval to apply for the firefighter grant, assist AFG grants. And there's 2 different options on there, Mike. One's FEMA and
They're both FEMA.
They're both
I give you
FEMA
option A
grants.
And option B.
one has
So option A is.
accessories.
Option A is strictly the SCBA ensembles times 50. And option B is the SCBA ensembles with accessories such as.
Back up the power and the chargers and things like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. 4 spare face masks, spare batteries in a charging station. So if you're on a big fire and your battery runs out, which runs all your heads up displays and everything, you can change the battery out. So at this point, I can change it. At this point, I've written it for option B.
Okay.
And I think that makes the most sense, and we see where we go with that.
Yeah, and the match isn't that big of
It's a
an amount.
$1,428 difference on the match.
Yeah.
So it's not, to the jurisdiction, it's not a huge impact. However, I do have to say, I'm struggling with the grant. I sent out another email, this will be the 3rd one, asking for some information for some questions that need to be answered in regards to certifications for the membership of the different departments. They're
Is it
asking-
basically 2 departments that you're having?
I don't have Grass Valleys, Emily's, Ride Patches. I do have most of Lovelocks, and the only ones I don't have are the couple of new people,
The
we
new
got,
people.
which aren't gonna be certified anyway.
And we got that out to them.
Yeah, I have, yeah, it's on a spreadsheet. But they're asking for.
Hey, Mike.
Yes,
Yeah, it's Sean Burke, Grass Valley. I've received no emails from you requesting information.
I will re-forward that to you. I sent out another one it was either Monday or Tuesday of last week. So if you didn't get it, I'll apologize for that. And I mentioned it
thank you.
at the chiefs meeting that we had at Ride Patch. But they're asking for EMR, EMT, paramedic type of things. They're asking for certifications of Fire 1, where we're certified of Fire 2, our mutual aid agreements, of which, to my knowledge, we have one. And that was with Churchill County that was signed in 1976, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So struggling to answer these questions is
Well, we have a mutual aid with the state, don't we?
you have, and yes,
Mhm.
correct. But as we look at writing this grant, basically for Lovelock and supporting the other 3 departments, we're
It's
just in
it's
this-
a handshake and a spoken
Yeah,
deal.
we're just in this position that it's through no fault of anybody that's here now. It's just things have changed and we haven't potentially kept up with some of them. But every fire department should really have a defined response area, then we have mutual aids. And the one that we do have is with Churchill County, but again, that was in May of 1976 that was signed. And it's still in place.
It's still in place.
It's still in place because in it says it's a 10-day notification from, and it was actually signed by the commission. Bob Maher actually signed. I have a copy of it. And so some of these things are gonna be challenging, and we'll do the best we can to fill in some numbers. And again, we can meet some of these after the grant is approved. I just, a couple of the departments are working hard towards these certifications and a couple aren't. So I really have some potential hesitancy on the ability to fulfill the obligations if we do get the grant. If we don't.
Is
We
there
don't
any way
say, hey, we're gonna do this.
you can get these departments to step up?
Can I?
And we've
I don't have
talked
that
about that.
authority.
Well, we can withhold funding.
We've talked
Can't
about
we?
this at chiefs meetings too.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
as a county, we help fund these other areas. We can withhold their funding. And we have budget workshops that are gonna be coming up. If they can't do what they're needing to do, why are we buying them new fire trucks? Why are we buying them new command vehicles? Why are we providing CARES Act funding for them and different things? And I know it's needed, but we've got to hold something over their head that says you've got to do your part. We also provide funding when they respond to a fire or something like that.
Yeah, there's no finger pointing. There's just, this is the
No,
way
I
the
know,
governments
but
are.
I mean,
And
it's not,
somehow or another, we have to start stepping in that direction, so we're prepared down the road as things are changing.
So we'll work
I
on
see-
that some more.
I see you guys here trying to make the departments better. And you guys are working really hard at it. And we've had some disagreements, but we're moving forward. But if we don't have all the departments moving forward together, it's not that effective. Everybody has to work together and work towards making it safer for the residents of Pershing County.
Yeah, I agree with you more than 100%. And it's the same reason we're doing the inspection program. It's much cheaper to do inspections than to, and it's a beneficial all the way down the road to when we get to insurance rates and Rodney's pre-plans and things that he's doing. And we're pretty successful with what we're doing. We're seeing a lot of improvements in some of the things we pointed out. And we're meeting with the state fire marshals coming out Monday. We're going to go over the program that we have and some of the challenges and the successes that we're having. And we'll meet with him at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. And so, yeah, we're doing, but it's a team event, I guess is the best thing to say. I mean,
But all
Well, it
players aren't
can
getting
be a team.
100%.
It can be a team event.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 4 independent entities.
That's right.
Each one of them is a separate level, is a separate volunteer fire department.
correct.
They're separate and apart from the county. You've been hired by the county to write a grant on behalf of those 4 entities. If 2 of the 4 aren't going to comply with whatever the conditions of the grant are, then maybe they aren't a part of the grant. And you write the grant for 2 entities instead of all 4.
Yeah, I agree with that partially, but I think to write the grant, we get points for, the mutual aid. So we're writing as we're supporting 3 other departments, and it's being written under Lovelock Volunteer Fire Department's DUNS and SAM's number. And you don't have to be completely compliant with all of these until the end of the performance period of the grant. So we would have a year to get there. And then I would potentially look at de-obligating funds back for those that may or may not be compliant. I think that's, in my opinion, that's probably the better way to go at this point.
Okay.
Include everybody and say, hey, now it's time to step up, or we're going to de-obligate that. Problem is, and I'll throw this out there just because these are reimbursement grants. So if we spend this money and we have to de-obligate it,
then we're on
that
the
could be a
hook.
problem.
Yeah. Should we take steps to renew that mutual aid agreement?
I'm not sure why.
We don't,
Pershing
the
County-
Churchill County one, it's still good. We're good with them, right?
We don't need to.
I'd like.
I
to
mean, we
see-
could
I'd like
address
to
it
see
with them, but it's,
I have a problem.
Great.
Try to do a little homework.
Well, it helps that you work in Churchill County too.
Well, that's how it came up, because I wrote some stuff for them, and then their admin from the fire department said, hey, we have this mutual agreement still in effect, but we're training to this level, you're training to this level, we need to come together, so. But if you look at the big picture, and to answer your question on the state, yes, in fact, I have a 2 o'clock meeting because I'm on that interstate mutual aid committee at 2 o'clock today, and yes, we do have one. And it's an all risk, and it's one of those ones you have to opt out to not participate in. So by not opting out, you're in it. On the flip side, the tribal, they have to opt in to participate, which is the opposite for the tribe.
So we will, Mr. District Attorney will look at that and see if we have to take steps to do that. So we have, it looks like we need approval to apply for option B for the AFG grant through FEMA.
I'll make that motion.
I have a question first. Where is the 5% match going to come from?
Where is the what?
The match going to come from?
We'll have to put that in the
Normally,
budget.
we have a grant match line item in each of the 4 fire department areas.
Okay, then I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed.
So now,
Good
Thank you
job.
very
Thank you.
much.
Sean, you're still on there?
Yes, sir, I'm still on.
Okay, Grass Valley Fire Department.
Yeah, Grass Valley Fire, not much to report. We are at a record number of calls for the year. And our training program is proceeding apace. So, you know, I guess I have a different recollection than Mr. Heidemann about our chiefs meeting because I never got a specific request for any of that information, but I will gladly provide it.
Okay, so is that all, that's all of your fire department report?
That's it.
Okay, emergency operations, since you're on there.
Yeah, so we did have the grant compliance visit about 3 weeks ago now. Many thanks to all those involved, especially to Reen. And we passed that with flying colors. So, and don't anticipate any issues with proceeding ahead with that COVID vaccine grant. So good news on that front. Other than that, we're just working with with Dr. Van Gilder and Marcia Foreman to keep up with the new vaccine availabilities as they come into play. So particularly for kids.
Good. Thank you.
Grass Valley.
so I just
We also-
sent that to you, Sean.
We also have on there to the Grass Valley Advisory Board.
In keeping with our usual annual schedule, we have no meeting scheduled for the month of December. Understand we did have a meeting in November, which I was unable to attend due to a medical issue, but we had some folks out from the state talking about the smoke monitoring program, and I understand that did not go swimmingly. There's a lot of pushback from folks in the community and outside the community that were worried that the state was going to somehow turn that smoke monitoring for health purposes into some kind of EPA mandate. So unclear at this point how they want to proceed, but we're just continuing to work with them and engage with them to help out as much as we can.
Okay, thank you. And I'll move on to the last half of item 11, which is approval to go to bid for a type 6, light type 6 brush truck. We already approved under our COVID funding expenditure of $174,000. So but you're asking for approval to go out to bid for that truck, is that correct?
That is correct. I was advised that that needed to be specifically agendized before I could request bids. So that is our request. That we have at least 3 companies who have provided us information in the past. I believe we would have at least 3 bidders and potentially a 4th that we can solicit.
Okay, so I'm ready for a
I'll
motion.
make that motion.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for approval to go out to bid. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed.
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
So the county's gonna be purchasing this vehicle.
Yes.
So it's the county that is to bid for that.
Yeah.
not the Fire department,
Correct.
right? But
The
I
fi-
haven't seen any documents. I haven't been able to look at anything and approve whether those documents should be sent, whether they conform with the bidding requirements.
You mean the bid document? To put it out to
John
bid?
needs to work with
Yeah.
the DA's office.
So Sean, are you still there? Guess not. I'll ask him.
Well, just in the past, any vehicle that the
Yeah.
county has purchased for a fire department, it's always gone
He's
to
back
the
on.
county. And
Are
it
are
needs
you
to
hearing
stay
that,
way.
Sean?
Kind of. So I thought that's what we were doing right now, Mr. DA. I thought I was getting permission to go out to the bid so I could get that to the right people.
No, it goes through the district attorney's office. So if you have information, send it to me so that I can make sure that it conforms with all of the statutes that we have to comply with for the bidding process. And then we can, and then you can go out to bid.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you could get that information to Bryce.
Yeah, I will send him all of the sources that we are currently aware of that offer the products.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Anybody from Emily Fire Department on, right, Patch? Seeing none. Safety, we have an email.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. For safety, the building assessments that were scheduled for November 30th, they were canceled due to the SCATS inspector being ill. They'll be rescheduled for January 4th. Cleanup of the basement of the annex building is completed. Buildings and grounds and all departments that store files did a great job organizing and clearing unwanted items. Updated safety posters have been given to each department to replace outdated posters. New hires have been entered into the pool pack safety training courses so that they can get them completed. Regarding the health department, they're keeping busy with the COVID boosters. Each week, the clinic schedule is full. They have not had much of a response for COVID pediatric shots at this point. The state will be going to a new billing and scheduling program within the new year, no timeline. And just a side comment on my part, they're always changing very well. Cemetery wreaths across America will be taking place on December 18th. The ceremony will take place at Big Meadow Cemetery.
I have a question on that, and Mr. Blondheim, maybe you can answer it. Did we get enough wreaths for all of our veterans?
I believe so.
Okay,
That was my understanding too. She will be helping, Cheryl will be helping Liz with marking the veteran plots so that the wreaths are placed there. She's still entering information into the new cemetery program. She's working with a few monument companies. The old company that we used, they retired and no one took over their business. So she's looking into some other ones for memorial plaques. We're still short 2 board members and hopefully we can get some people interested in being on the cemetery board. So that's it.
Good. Sheriff Allen, I know you have a 10 o'clock. Would you like to come up and do your report?
Sure, I don't have much to report, but
Okay.
both inmates in custody right now. By the end of the day, we'll have 50% of our capacity, 13. D&D Plumbing's been there all week. They're there again today. Having several plumbing issues. Water coming in is still great. Water going out, not so good. So they're fixing fixtures and that kind of stuff. Other than that,
We have our new dispatch supervisor just started last week and several new hires for deputies. So we're helping to keep Cheryl busy and then
Yes.
adding people to the safety.
But that's great though.
So I have another deputy that's scheduled to start second week of January. And then one that's currently in backgrounds. We did get a application Monday for our 2 open positions. So
It's looking good, promising,
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
wonderful.
if we can keep them, it'd be great.
Yeah, we have a salary resolution for approval for the
For Tamara, is
dispatcher.
Tammy Davis, yes.
that how she goes by Tammy?
Tammy, yeah.
Okay,
I'll make that motion to approve the salary resolution.
and I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
She was previously dispatch supervisor down in Esmeralda County. So then her certifications lapsed, but within a week and a half she's been here, she's got all her certifications back.
Wow, that's
We
great.
just need to find her a place to live
Yeah, that'd be
during the week.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
Oh, she drives?
Yes,
From,
yes, from Lovelock.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Her husband has
They have
a higher paid position
Yes.
down there. So
Much
it's not-
higher, much
um,
higher fee.
we had talked about incentive program for the sheriff's
Mhm.
deputies, sheriff's
Mhm.
department. Can you guys work on something and make some suggestions?
Sure.
We will be
Yeah.
working. on
Okay,
that.
great.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah,
I
we
just
had a
wanted
little
to mention
sidebar on
that.
that.
Okay,
Um,
because
And
I think it's important and I know everybody does and
Yeah.
don't want to let it kind of
Yeah.
not happen.
And I haven't read the agenda today. Is there still the building thing on the agenda or is that still a hanging item?
No.
No. Okay,
So
so.
we do have proclamation and awards on the
Okay, well,
agenda.
before we go, I just wanted, I don't know if you wanted me to let them know or whatever, but I have been in contact with the M&M Metal next door and they've come up with a couple of different proposals, so maybe we should put that on the agenda.
Yeah, I
next
was
time.
wondering if they had lost interest or whatever, so.
No.
No, but the
one of
dollar amount is
Yeah, it's quite
not in our
quite extensive, yeah.
affordability realm.
And one of them was out with COVID for a couple of weeks, so there was that as well, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, but yeah, well, I guess we'll put on the next agenda and we'll discuss that. Yeah.
okay, great.
So we have,
Thank you.
some awards here. One of which person is here, one is not.
He's sleeping.
He's sleeping.
He's sleeping. He's gonna work the next.
He's not sleeping on the job.
No, he's sleeping for the job.
So we have a 20-year certificate here for Sheriff Jerry Allen. Good job.
You guys have put up with me for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, I know, it's been rough on you.
With a pen
Thank you.
and a certificate.
Thank you.
And a
Appreciate
good
it.
job.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.
Thank you.
Now it's just 20 more.
No.
I was gonna say that, but I.
Do you
want me to?
Oh, the other one you can take with.
Yeah.
Nicholson is 5 years.
Sweet. All right. Thank you much.
I can text Lacey. She said text me when she can come over.
Can you put that on the agenda that you're acknowledging?
And I will mention that we have Bill Nicholson got his 5-year award and the sheriff will deliver that personally to him.
Yeah, we have to make sure we're specific, because I have 2 Nicholsons now. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
So we can come back to,
You want to come back?
yeah, we can come back.
Okay.
Unless she's
You
on
want me to
the
just have her come down?
have her come over and we'll just jump to it whenever she gets here. IT department.
Keeping me on my toes today.
Yeah.
Jumping all around the agenda. So the last couple of weeks have been mainly dedicated to the phone system, talking with department heads and to get their call routing figured out, and then programming that call routing. deploying phones and supporting any troubles that come from the new phone system. We have deployed the phone at the museum. I just have to forward the old number and we'll get that porting started. We deployed phones at the annex yesterday. And we deployed a tester at the senior center to see what we've got to work with there and what we might have to do because the senior center is still on the AT&T DSL. So I have a call with Giselle this afternoon to talk about that. And
would it be easier just to switch them to NNIS?
we're gonna have to do something because the download speeds are fine. So like if you call on the new phone system at the senior center, what you hear is crystal clear. The upload speeds are not fast enough. So the caller can't really hear you without being digitized and kind of.
So why don't we just switch from AT&T DSL to NNIS for
That's
now?
probably what we're gonna do. I just want to
Okay.
since Giselle's in charge of that
Right.
facility, I want to discuss the options with her.
Yeah.
Great.
We are in the middle of a demo of FirstNet. We have several cell phones and mobile hotspots and a Cradle Point cellular router that we're demoing on the AT&T's public safety dedicated network. Actually, got one right here. So far, where I have been it's worked pretty well. I'm interested in seeing what comes out of the usage that the sheriff's office is getting out of them. See what our borders are. We did have a presentation on what the FirstNet network in Lovelock looks like currently and what their plans for the future are. So, and that's part of the larger AT&T fiber projects. So, yeah, that's been going well. I'm compiling a list of questions for AT&T on their FirstNet products.
Are those working, are those at coverage for the whole county or just?
No, not currently. So currently the coverage. So there's the tower on over by Sea Punch Inn.
Mhm.
That's the AT&T tower that serves Lovelock City, and everywhere I've been around the city, it's worked fine.
Okay.
There's one other tower in Pershing, and then there's a couple more that kind of border
Mhm.
Pershing. There's like one in Humboldt, one in Washoe, and one in Lander. That is a
Churchill.
mineral that's next to east of us. The county east of us. I think that's Lander, if I'm remembering correctly.
Lander. Yeah, we border Lander County.
But they are planning on building several more towers, both in and around Pershing in the coming year.
I was with Jerry Allen, the sheriff, a couple of days ago, and we were just in there playing with it. And he called Bill Nicholson, who just got an award. And it was very clear, and he was at Mill City. So
Right, that's near where
somewhere
the
out
other
there,
tower
the other
is.
tower.
Yeah, is near Mill City.
Yeah.
It's like northwest of Mill City,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
And he's the Emily deputy, right?
He is, yeah, Emily, he lives at the house in Emily.
But he also covers Grass Valley.
He does.
Okay.
And kind
They
of
back him up.
and I wouldn't even say that the permanent towers are the real big, the most useful part of the FirstNet product. I would say it's more the portable solutions, the ones that you can call and have them stand up for you. Because they could, if you have an event like a big fire, like a wildfire, and you need to stand up a tower, a command center, you can ask them to send you out one of their portable units, and they'll either send you out like a big truck with like a light pole tower that they set up, or they have blimps, they have drones. That can all serve as for cellular connectivity.
Yeah, that's good.
So
So if you're in a really remote area, you can have that. That's great.
to me, that's the more useful
Yeah.
part of FirstNet currently, until they build out more of their system, which they are obligated by the federal government. Since FirstNet is a federal program, they're obligated to build out those towers in that network. But it's neat. Verizon has their own, I don't remember what they call their public safety network off the top of my head, but they also include priority and preemption, just standard as being part of FirstNet. Yeah, it's for public safety, I think it's a pretty good product. So that's really all I have.
Well, I wanted to ask for our next agenda in January, could you put on there to advertise and hire a technician assistant or something?
Sure.
Otherwise, we're never going to move forward with anything to get you some help.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were going to be doing that before budgets or after budgets. So
I think that Rena said if we need to, there's money in the general fund that we can do that. And we're only talking, by the time we do it and get someone hired, we're talking maybe 5 months or something into the fiscal year.
Is that correct, Reed?
What you need to remember is we're gonna have to augment the rental space plus new.
Right.
And I only have $100,000 in contingencies to augment the entire budget. So.
Okay.
But then we don't always
As long
spend
as-
everything in all of the,
Right, if we don't have a problem anywhere else, especially in the general fund, we should be okay, but any other larger
disaster.
comes up.
Like a road grader at the road department?
Well, that's the road department's a separate.
Well,
And I miss what that road department, he was down.
Oh, there's a grader or a piece of equipment out for repair already. And the price tag not known at this time, but it's going to be a hefty number.
it was a blade that broke, right?
Transmission.
Yeah.
And the rental was coming out of RTC funds.
Yep.
But the other one, the repairs have to come out of his budget.
Out of his budget. Yeah.
So I will talk with Green and Karen about
Please.
about that.
Okay, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I very much appreciate it.
Is Heidi on there by any chance for economic development?
She is not.
She is not. Okay. Lacey Donald.
I said come over and she said okay, and that was.
Oh, so do you have a report for
She just,
approval of corrections, changes to the tax rule?
well, she said that she's not doing that anymore, so.
Okay.
She's not doing the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's just forgetting it,
So
right?
I think we're good.
Okay. Green.
So we have an item on the agenda in regards to our on-base programming from Precision Document Indexing. It's where we currently keep all of our time cards, scanned copies, all of our accounts payable. We've never moved any of that over to the Tyler system because it just doesn't work good in the Tyler system. So we've kept it on base. I wasn't aware until Justin and Mike Farrell and I had a discussion. There was also some items of plat maps in the assessor's office, correct?
The assessor's office and the clerk treasurer's office both.
They still have items in on base
Mhm.
also.
That need to go to the cloud.
Right, so the 3,200 I had put could be paid out of ad valorem or my recorder map fees. But now I am not willing, I can't spend all that money for other departments per NRS.
Well, the clerk treasurer, they have a fund, don't they? And I know the assessor has a fund for technology.
Yeah, but I would still recommend taking them out of ad valorem.
Okay.
We had some miscalculations in the assessor tech funds. If you want to know more details, I suggest you come see me, but
Okay.
she doesn't really have any money left. right now.
Okay. Well, I knew it was tight anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
they-
theirs is, including them would be more than the 32.
No, the 3,200 is
Oh.
for everything.
Oh, okay.
For all 4 departments, and he would move it off the server or whatever into the cloud.
Yeah, so that, so basically what's happened is everything that's on the on-base server right now would move to the cloud.
Mhm.
And all the departments would just be able to continue on from there.
I think that's a great idea.
And the server that it's on is an older server that needs to be retired. So, and on base and one other role that server provides is the only reason why we haven't retired.
So
Ready for
I'll
motion?
make a motion that we go forward with putting those documents on the cloud in the amount not to exceed 3,200 paid out of ad valorem.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. That's it.
Thanks, Reen, very much.
Till 11 o'clock. Yeah, then the big one comes. Lori Serini is not here. She's really sick. She came over this morning earlier and brought us a report or an update. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go through that. I don't know that I need to read it all. Right, Shields.
So as you know, we hired a deputy public guardian. She's doing very, very well. We're happy to have her on board. She's really kind of freed up my availability to get into court more often and just deal with day-to-day things in the office. So thank you for allowing that in the DA's office. And that's all I have.
That's all you have. I don't see Judge Stevens.
Well, I think there was a comment.
Oh, there is?
Or at least I saw a mouth.
Oh,
We had an economic development meeting. We haven't had anybody coming to take minutes for several months. They'd be back to take minutes.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Lynn used to take our minutes for the economic.
Oh, did they change the meeting or the time?
No. But
I didn't know that she hadn't been over there. Okay. I will talk to her then.
thank you very much.
You bet.
so we have, now we're down to. We'll skip proclamations and awards. So we have Grass Valley, we've done Derby Field Airport. I have no report. Board appointments. I know we have a resignation and an application. I don't know if that's the only two.
Only ones I saw. And this is for the planning
Cynthia,
commissioner, planning board.
the planning board.
We have a resignation
From
from
Cynthia
Cynthia
Park reader.
Yes.
And then the letter of interest from Chris Porter. Ride Patch Chair is there.
I asked one of their board members about, I guess, first let's act on the resignation.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation
I'll
of
second.
Cynthia Hartreader, sorry.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
I
Now we
don't know Chris Porter.
pardon me?
I said, I don't know Chris Porter.
I don't either, and he's fairly new, I guess, to the Rye Patch area. The person I talked to just day before yesterday doesn't really know him either. He apparently lives, he doesn't live in Rye Patch Estates. He lives on the other side of the dam somewhere. And that's all I know. I don't know if we
That's
should
an-
leave it open and see what.
I think so. We need to advertise it, and then,
Yes,
and nothing against the individual, but that's such an important position.
it is. I'd like to see it advertised.
And
as
I'd
well.
like a little more information on the person.
Is that,
That position
Yes.
is outside the bounds.
so it's outside the valley? Doesn't, not necessarily just Rye Patch.
No,
Yeah.
it goes everywhere outside the valley to Grass Valley.
Okay, so if we
Grass
could,
Valley has their-
if we could put that advertisement out there.
Yes,
Yes.
advertise. I don't even have a word.
Just
I will tell Larry.
Okay,
Larry knows about that.
Thank you.
okay, so we can do that. We're not up for our 10 o'clock yet. Number 11 is update on emergency man. I don't know if we have anything more to update. We've already handled the fire department request. We can go past that. Our litigation person stepped out for a minute. Anything from administrative assistant?
Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I will have my telephone conference with regard to our full pack HR assessment. I will let you know that we have to update all our job descriptions because there is new language that needs to be put in there, so I'll be working on that. And working on I've been working on the CTG because there were some issues with the grant and how we applied, et cetera, with our RIP. I got that corrected, so we're good on that.
And then we have a salary resolution.
She has completed her full essential management, the first part of it. When the training comes up for the second part, she will attend that.
So when is this effective?
I would say it would be effective the first pay period in December, which would be the 6th.
December, not January?
No, because
No.
your motion did not do a 6-month.
No, I know we didn't have a 6-month, but normally it's 6 months.
But when we awarded that position, we said a 3-month review.
There was nothing in the minutes about 3 months or 6 months or
I thought it was discussed and approved.
for the cook, I believe it was. I would prefer a 6 months, and that would be in January.
Why do we do this? Why? I mean,
Because
she's not-
normally we don't.
She's
do it
doing a
for-
great job and she was up for a 3-month raise. How do you keep people if you don't do something for them?
Well, Shayla, what do you think? I mean, that's,
Since it's not in the minutes, whether it was 3-month or 6-month or whatever, She has completed her first part of her classes.
You did very well.
And so with that, she's shown that she's all in. So I'll just make a motion to approve the raise.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, I was gonna second.
Well, I was waiting.
No, she wasn't finished talking. Go ahead, you seconded. So go ahead.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Now we're at litigation.
Yeah, we need to have a litigation.
Okay. a person in our audience now, so we can go back to proclamation.
That person who's hiding behind the pillar.
Yes, she is. And actually, it's just, but come on up. We have notification that Lacey Donaldson has completed her certified public official program. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
That's
It
awesome.
took a while, but I'm glad to have it.
Yeah, well, it does take a while.
It
Yeah.
does.
It took me about 10 years.
That's good.
Anyway, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Good
you
job,
for
thank
everything
you.
do, Lacey.
You are here, 10 o'clock.
Good morning.
Just briefly, tomorrow is the, I don't have real much on the department. It's been going pretty good. Tomorrow is the last day for inquiries on the RFP that I sent out. And the 20th is the deadline by 5 PM for submissions. We haven't had any inquiries or submissions to this point.
Okay.
And it was advertised in the Reno Gazette and in the Lovelock Journal, or Review Minor. And hopefully we will be taking possession of our new pickup.
Oh, that's
Toward the end of January. It's been built and shipped, but,
I was gonna ask about that.
and I just submitted a PO today to Trimline. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to build the shelves, so
It does, yeah.
hopefully coordinating those two by the time you take possession of the pickup, maybe the shell will be done.
So you can do it all at the same
Yeah,
time.
get-
It works good if you can do that.
Yeah. Other than that, that's about all I have is for an update. And then just what's on the agenda.
The parcel map review and approval.
Yes. This is for Phillips Land Holding, and he wants to split out the 3.4 acres from his 309 for residential purposes. That 3 acres that he's got already has a house on it. It's an older modular. They want.
And it was just never split off before. It was prior and.
Yeah, it's basically always been that way.
Yeah.
It's just never been split. It's been an old stackyard. There's a house there. It's got water to it. That particular piece doesn't have a water right designated to it. So it's okay to split.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the
Parcel map.
parcel map for Phillips Land Holdings.
With the fine.
Commission.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. And then we have,
Discussion to terminate contract with Stantec Engineering for updating our master plan and development code. You explained this a little bit before.
Yeah, I have since gotten I got it yesterday, I haven't forwarded it to Bryce, but I've gotten a contract from Cynthia. The remaining is about 54,000, but we just paid the last work that she did. Yesterday, it was about $5,500. It was submitted a voucher for.
To stand.
Yeah, to Stantec. So it would be minus that if we were to enter into contract with her. I haven't heard from Bryce if he's gotten with Stantec. I heard from Jim Pringle. He does some of our work when we have master plans. Subdivisions. He does some of the engineering review on that stuff. And he wasn't sure if there was going to be anybody who was going to be assigned to it. And I asked him, I said, if there was a way, we would just assume separate ways and be done with the contract. And he was gonna get back with me. That was last week. I haven't heard back.
Yeah, and I was just waiting for board authorization before I contacted Stantec, because our contract is with Stantec and not Cynthia. And we can only terminate our contract if there's a material breach. The fact that Cynthia was fired is not a material breach of our contract, of their contract. And so I plan on getting board authorization and then approaching Stantec and just pitching it from the perspective that they really don't have anybody who has the knowledge and the expertise of Pershing County to really go forward and do it economically. If whoever they have in their outfit would have to relearn everything that Cynthia has already learned, and they would have to pay that person, so it probably wouldn't be economically viable for them. So I was just gonna ask them if they would release us from our contract. And I would ask the board to approve this item on the agenda and to grant me authorization to go ahead and reach out to Stantec, provided that Stantec will release us from our contract. So if they do, let's say tomorrow, we can just contact Cynthia and enter into a contract with her.
So I'll make a motion that we authorize the district attorney to get with Stantec Engineering to see if they will release us from our contract with them. And then also, if they do, that to pursue a contract with Cynthia, all right, for the difference in the amount that we originally approved for the contract.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
And just on that note as well, Jim did tell me that the likelihood of somebody from Nevada being assigned to it is highly unlikely. It would be somebody from out of state without any knowledge of the county. So
And then when you get your new truck, your old truck's going to buildings and grounds,
I don't know. Whoever, I guess whomever.
do we need to
want
actually
it,
put
or-
that on the agenda? Wait, somebody else is going to speak up for it? The old
I
truck?
don't know. I think that Fran and code enforcement, we may need to visit her vehicle situation, but if buildings and grounds has already put a claim
They
on it,
need
then-
something.
Yeah, then, yeah, let's prioritize and give it to buildings and grounds for sure.
So do we need to put that on our agenda to
Yes.
approve that?
Yeah.
So for January, we need to put that on the agenda to transfer the old vehicle to buildings and grounds, the one from the planning.
When
commission.
he receives it.
When he
Yeah, when I receive
receives
it, I don't want to.
Yeah. When he receives it.
When you get a new vehicle.
I just had brand new tires put on it too, so
Wow,
Good.
that's so
They-
nice of you.
I wasn't sure when we were gonna take
He's
this
gonna-
one, so I had to get new, the old ones were going
Yeah.
up pretty shot,
He's
so I,
gonna put-
and without
He's
knowing.
gonna wear out these new tires before he gets that new pickup. The way things are
The
going.
way things are going.
So do you have any other reports, updates?
I do not unless you guys have anything.
We're good.
Okay.
I have
Thank you.
nothing.
All right,
very
thank
much.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Report from legal counsel.
Well, no, I think I covered everything. Well,
Okay.
you know,
You've
well,
got
there
us
was.
We have some time to spend.
Okay, and that's why I'm bringing it up. There was a request from the assessor. I don't know if the board wants to bring that up or if that's something we need to talk about during the public meeting portion, or if that's something that they would like me to discuss with each of them individually. And I'm referring to the last item.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with you discussing it right now.
Okay, so as you are all aware, each of the county offices has to be open specific times during the year for specific hours. And the only deviation from that can be done by the board in a public meeting. And it has to result in a net gain for the county, which would mean employees are given the day off, but they don't get paid for it, essentially.
And then,
And also the request isn't on the agenda,
Correct.
but I'm just saying going forward, this type of thing would have to be on the agenda. And, you know, we're required to be open 40 hours a week.
right.
And like I said, the only deviation from those set hours, it can be made by the board of county commissioners during a public meeting. And it's got to result in a net gain to the county.
And she did make the statement that the office would stay open. She'll stay there and cover the office.
Sure. But it's got to result in a net gain.
So the portion that, so anytime that an employee takes off needs to be recorded either to their vacation or personal or sick leave, depending on what, yeah. Which was done in the other one.
So this has to be agendized to.
Yeah.
to-
If we, I mean, the holidays are gonna be over before our next.
We can't do anything.
We basically can't do anything. Because
Right.
our next meeting is.
Yeah.
So will USDA contact the assessor and let her know what can and cannot be done?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Items for future agenda.
Heidi had brought up that about doing some planning for CDBG, not CDBG, WNDD and the SEDS projects and setting up some times, and that Cheryl was willing to facilitate, thank you. So I would like to see that, whether, I don't know what a good time is for everybody or for Cheryl, but I'd like to see that pursued. And maybe Heidi can get with Cheryl and see what would be good if after one of our regular meetings, you know, in the afternoon or something, or a special day, but get some, you know, when that could happen. And then we do need some goal planning and things before budget time. That was the only thing I could think of. And then we need to also talk about employee incentives and stuff like that, but we could do that in that workshop as well. Have several items. Are you going to go into a conference or anything?
I would like to attend the water. Third correct. And I talked to Jeff. And if there's only five other people allowed, and I talked to Jeff, and if somebody like Benny wants to go and they've met maximum, then I won't attend, but I would like to do that. Also, with water, the state engineer issued a new order on, it's order 1329. It's an interim order for managing the groundwater appropriations. It's just an ongoing issue with the lawsuit, and it's the state's basically response to having done nothing, and they were called on it, and they issued this order, and it's just continuing. I have a IAC meeting on January 10th.
But for agenda items,
I think that we need to discuss. Well, first of all, this issue, employee incentives. It's Lori, the assessor's report. I would like to. No, that's later because that's budgets, never mind.
So your conference needs to be on the next agenda.
Probably.
Yes.
Doesn't it? My conference needs to be on the next agenda though, right? Okay.
We have a letter from BLM. Which is, anyway, they're completed the decision record, finding no significant, and this is on a geothermal plant, which actually is in Pershing County as well as Churchill County. And BLM, the Dixie Meadows Geothermal Development Project. And actually, we just have, it's in here for information. There's nothing to be acted on. So it could be a good thing. So this is like Jersey Valley, that out that way.
Is this the one that Lori hired to do the audit on? The
No, it's not an existing, this is a new one,
this
a
is
new one coming up.
Oh, I already thought there was one out there.
There is one in Jersey Valley, yeah.
Oh. So there's a new one going in.
Yeah, this is for another
And
one.
the one out by Florida Canyon, what's happening with that one?
They're, I mean, last time they're going full steam ahead.
Are they?
Yeah.
Literally full steam ahead.
Literally full steam ahead. Okay, so we're going to that. We are way far of our 11 o'clock. We can go into board member discussion.
I don't have anything really.
I don't have anything other than did everybody do the speed test that Heidi?
I've done it multiple
suggested?
times
That's the only way we're gonna get.
and mine was really bad.
Everything's going well at the community center. There've been a couple of hiccups, but Diana's doing really well at handling them, and that's all I have other than the EIC meeting, which I don't know where that's ever gonna go, but hopefully it's resolved.
Rodney, did you come back for anything in particular? Okay. I just wanted to give you the chance if you did.
No, good.
Okay. Approval of vouchers.
Motion to approve the vouchers. And I will second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. I would add one thing under, I guess, matters of the board for discussion. I mean, it could be in a couple of different places, but Rusty Keel came to where I was yesterday at the tree lot and said the night before that the water board had approved our project.
Oh,
They had already
great.
discussed it, they just hadn't acted on
Officially,
it.
that's wonderful. Approved of what?
Approved our water
Oh,
project.
okay.
I thought you said budget.
Huh?
It's like-
Funded? Oh, no, that would be nice, but that's not the case.
Oh, my goodness. Can we move the clock up to 11, please?
Yeah, we have to wait for a little bit.
Oh. Do you want a 4-in plug-in on that little horse trailer?
Were we out of session?
Are you still recording?
No.
Okay, you need to record again.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry, but turn it back on.
okay, we're good.
we're good?
We're on.
Okay, we'll go to public comment. Public comments and discussion. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Public commentary will generally be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any public comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Klinger.
First of all, I'd like to commend Elizabeth Blondheim for her fantastic job on Wreaths Across America. She did, I know Shayla asked about it earlier. she did cover all veterans' graves, 387 in total. That included 23 at the local tribe, which I wasn't even aware they had a separate graveyard. I didn't think about it until after the wreaths had been closed, but there may be some veterans at the Unionville Cemetery. I don't know, maybe Carol knows if there is or not.
I think that Cheryl Hawes
That's
was going to
something
check on
that's
that.
too late this year to follow up on. I'm sorry.
Cheryl Hawes was going to check on that as well. So for Unionville.
And we do, Carl, just so you know, we do have I guess you could call it a ceremony. Anyway, Saturday morning, we have a presentation, a Wreaths Across America. We start at Big Meadow Cemetery. We go to the Indian Cemetery since we're out there, and then we go to Lone Mountain Cemetery. And that's all Saturday morning.
Okay. Great. I'm not sure that I'll be able to be there because we're also doing one in Winnemucca. That may be a problem because there's 6. Anyway, the next thing I'd like to speak about is the commission funded cloud seeding. There was actually more donations than anticipated. So there was $14,000 excess money collected. Jeff will be sending all the contributors a letter asking them what they want to do with the excess. There was some discussion at the Humboldt River Basin Water Authority on the benefits of cloud seeding. And that's, so one of the options will be to leave the money there.
Carry it over.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I guess the word would be doubt on the benefits of cloud seeding. Adam Sullivan, the state water engineer, isn't convinced that it's beneficial. Justin Huntington, who gave the reports on the open ET presentation, he's not overly convinced that there's a real benefit to it. So my encouragement would be to leave the money where it's at so that the researchers can do more study and identifying the benefits of cloud seeding. The last item I have is the Big Meadow Conservation District held its local work group meeting on the 30th to prioritize resource concerns. One of the issues that was brought up was the phreatophytes in the Winnemucca area causing loss of water down to Lovelock Valley. That was surfaced originally in 1965 by Philip Cohen. The presentation by Justin Huntington at several meetings, I've watched it 3 times now, may actually lend some support in that area by measuring the amount of phreatophytes there around the Winnemucca area. So I've been a little concerned about the open ET, afraid that it would be used for concerns are slowly dissolving in that area. I see some benefit to it. So I'm looking forward to that being approved and funded. The other thing that came up at the local work group meeting was that the tamarisk beetles have just about disappeared. I will be contacting Jeff Knight on what he thinks is going on there. the last big drought we had, they kind of receded back to the natural dam, but then they expanded back up in around Big Five, Summers, and on up the valley. But this year I didn't see a one. And so there's concern about that, and concern whether or not we would be able to allow to get a new supply of beetles because the tamarisk is just exploding. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, we're waiting for 11 o'clock.
As long as they're not in the accident itself.
Right.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Well, I said, don't race. I said, we don't.
So we'll come back into session. This is our 11 o'clock time of event. And this is a presentation on our fiscal year 2021 audit report.
So I am Pam Truss. Terry was all prepared, who is the partner on the job, all prepared for the first part. So I am the substitute of the first part, but we chatted yesterday. We both left like an hour early, so we would be the, if there was any else. But
Yeah.
she got stuck. Okay, so if we go to page 1, that's our opinion.
Oh,
And
what?
It's our opinion on the financial statements. And that is, it describes the responsibility that we take and your responsibility for these financial statements with all the underlying information. And it is we call it an unmodified opinion, but that is the highest level of assurance that we can give with an audit. So that's good. The financial statements do focus on the government as a whole. We talk about governmental activities and business activities and major funds. And also there is MD&A included in here, which is kind of like it's more of a format of just financial highlights. So it kind of condenses some of the information in fewer pages, so you can get an idea of where everything stands. The major funds this year that we audited, the general fund always has to be audited. That includes your in lieu of taxes fund, cemetery, law enforcement, and law library, since they don't have really specific revenue sources that support that.
So Pam, can you reference what pages you're on? That will help
As you
us
go.
As you go, only because it's just easier.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're not
if-
as familiar as you are.
If you look at, let's go to page 17.
I was almost there.
So the ones across the top there are your major funds that we look at. Like the general fund is kind of a combination of funds. And then the road is a major fund, the 11th judicial, the regional street, the building fund, and new this year is the option tax public safety fund. Because of the amount of revenue that is coming in there now. And so those are the major focuses for the governmental type funds. And then the business type funds, those are shown on page 21. And the landfill is your only major fund for the enterprise funds. The other ones are combined in this non-major enterprise column to be ambulance, inlay utilities, and the electrical utility, just because they're smaller in nature. So each of these major funds that we talked about are audited separately. So they get a really close look. All the other funds are aggregated and looked at kind of together, but really separately if you look, because you have to go to the underlying information. Now we'll look at a few numbers before we get to the chart. So let's go to page 15. And this kind of accumulates everything. The government accounting standards board wanted to make governments look like kind of like a business where you could look at one page and see everything. But governments are vastly different. So this governmental activities column and business type activities, that groups everything together to kind of give you a snapshot of where you are. Your total assets in this total column, if you look at the assets and deferred outflows are an asset that hasn't occurred yet, but it will occur. It's just a timing issue related to pensions and other post-employment benefits. So the two of those together are 30.9 million this year. It was 28.8 million last year. Your total liabilities and deferred outflow or inflows
Those are like a liability. Those are running pretty even around 17.7 million this year and last year. And the biggest part of those liabilities is the pension liability that we have to record and other post-employment benefits, the healthcare piece that we have to record that are based on an actuarial evaluation. And I know it's concerning to see, well, geez, we have a liability of almost 12 million for the PERS, but that's paid each time everybody gets a paycheck, your contributions go in. So that just is so it makes things look, I guess, a long-term look at what's out there in the future. So your assets less your liability. In the very bottom, the total column, and last year that was 11.1 million. So you are better off in your net position. Last year, the net position for the governmental activities was 9.2 million. This year it's 11.3. The business type activities run pretty consistent with a net position of 1.9 million. But if you look at the composition of that net position, there's a lot of restrictions on what you get your money for that you have to spend it on. And then you have a lot invested in your capital assets, that aren't readily available for you to spend. So that shows an unrestricted amount as a deficit of 5.1 million. But that is very usual now because of that pension liability that has to be paid over the future. Yeah, it's just a lot of restricted money comes in, so it is.
It's
Not
restricted.
all there for you guys just to use. Okay, and if we look at page 16, so that's the balance sheet we looked at. And then if we look at page 16, they call this the statement of activities, which shows your functions that you spend your funds on, like general government, public safety. It separates the business down here between landfill, electrical, inlay utilities, and ambulance. And then it shows the revenues that come in to support those expenses. And you see under that, what the one column there, it's called governmental activities and business type activities. In almost all of the cases, the expenses are not covered by the revenues that are generated. And that is because most of your revenues are general revenues with taxes and intergovernmental revenue that cover those functions. And ad valorem and consolidated taxes and other taxes are 59% of your revenues, and they're actually 61% of your governmental revenue. So a large portion comes in of general revenues that supports these activities. And I think it's sometimes easier to look at the little graphs. We have a little pass out that kind of shows things a little easier to look at. So we just showed 3 years. And this is your revenue. The first graph is your revenue and other financing sources, and your expenses and other financing uses, which are like transfers out or kind of unusual items like insurance settlements or something you would get along those lines. So your revenues and other sources were up from 2020. 2020 was 15.5 million. And 2021 was 18.1 million. But again,
that includes grants too, correct?
That does include
like
grants.
The CARES grant and
Right.
all the other ones that we
And
received.
that's why you see this big increase. You got that inflow of the CARES money, but again, it's restricted to be spent on certain things. And your expenditures and other uses were also up. That increased about 1.3 million, but that kind of follows that when that comes in, you would expend it on those purposes that you
Yeah.
have to for the grant. The next one is revenues by source, just to give you an idea of how these kind of correlate to each other over that 3-year period. And revenues were more in 21 than in 20 by 2.5 million. Again, that largest increase is in the red item, the intergovernmental revenues for those grant funds received. But property taxes were up and intergovernmental revenues were your largest increases.
And interest was really down,
Yes,
really down.
yeah. And the other ones that decreased, your licenses, fines, miscellaneous income, and interest decreased. So I think that grant funding did serve a purpose to get money into the entities. Oh, and we always kind of mention net proceeds of fines that they were collected in 21. It was just about the same amount that was collected in 20. So not a big inflow related to that. And then the next chart is just kind of fund balances by fund. And it just kind of shows the change again. The red is the general fund, and that is up by about 138,000 from last year. In lieu is up by about 285,000. 11 judicial is up about 206,000. And the capital projects funds are higher by about 508,000. Now there was one decline that is important, I think, is the building fund. The pink is down quite a bit. It's down 632,000.
We've been spending quite a bit for projects, yeah.
And then the blue, you see a big increase of 1.6 million, but that blue is kind of the restricted funds. They're all the special revenue funds or, you know, that have a purpose for what those revenues are collected. But an increase overall of 2.1 million. But we know that, well, this year you'll have the different federal funds come in, but that won't go on forever, we don't think. We think we have last year with the CARES Act, this with the ARPA money, and then I would think it will hopefully go back to kind of a more normal.
Just keep printing money.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're all gonna pay all that back.
That's good for
We're
inflation.
gonna go bankrupt, not
Good
us
for
as the
inflation.
county, but the federal
Right.
government. They're gonna default at some point.
The local bread will cost that wheelbarrow full of money.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And the next chart, we just kind of throw this in because we always look like when we finish the audit, where you guys started your 2022 budget. So if you were way behind, that's good to know. If you're a little ahead or running even with where you thought you were going in 2022. And we look at the general fund separately. So the general fund closed at the blue here, the 2.5 million. And you expected to start your budget with a 2.3 million. So you're doing good. You ended up a little better than you thought you were going to begin the budget. One caution on this though, that fund balance in the general fund, there is restrictions on that. Like of that 2 million, there's 529,000 that is again restricted for certain sources.
Reen does a really good job with her crystal ball.
Yes.
You do, to figure out it's the best guesstimate of where we think we're gonna be when you do the budget.
Right, because the budget is due before our
long
year
before.
even closes, so you kind of have to project the 1 year to project the next year. And the next chart, this is the same thing, except it looks at all other funds except the general fund. And once again, you were above where you thought you were going to be on budget. by quite a bit there. But again, those are the restricted monies that have to be spent just for that specific purpose. We have two more graphs. This is a good graph. This shows your debt. Now, not the PERS and the OPEB, because those are paid, monthly as you go. But it shows your fund balances and your governmental funds at 13.3 million and your debt of approximately 800,000. So that's a good position to be in with debt. Your debt has decreased about 93,000 this year because of the payments, but that's good just because we're in pretty uncertain times as things are fluctuating up and down, where I guess you're in a better position that you aren't carrying all this debt.
Well, and that's the payments on the fire trucks. And then we have a lease, or we have something on the landfill too. Yeah,
Right.
but that's all that we have at this point.
Right. And then the last chart is just your proprietary funds, the ones that work more like a business, the electrical utility, landfill, lay utilities, and ambulance. In the landfill and the inlay utilities, the expenses are higher. I'm sorry, landfill and inlay, the revenues are higher than your expenses, or expenses are higher than revenues. Sorry about that. Revenues are a little higher in the other two funds, the electrical utility and the ambulance. But because these are run like a business, there's depreciation to recognize, that the assets are getting older and you're going to have to replace it in these numbers. So it's not just more of a, cash in, cash out.
I have a question. Is inlay utility just the water system?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need to look at those rates, the water rates.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. It's not going to be a popular topic, but for years we
Money out
know
of that system.
Yeah, but also too, we have to get more revenue back out.
And the notes to the financial statements begin on page 26. And these have, there's talks about the reporting entity, kind of the financial statements in general, budget in general, but then it has specific notes to capital assets, debt, the post-employment benefits for the healthcare, and the pension disclosures that are required for PERS. We'll have you turn to page 35. I think this is Reen's favorite page. Yes. Note 2, we look and see with all the different statutes and requirements that you're governed by, compliance with those laws and regulations. And we do interviews with people to see if they're aware of anything. And this year, we could not find anything to report that the county conformed to all significant statutory constraints on its financial administration during the year. So that is Reen's favorite page. I think last year we only had
I looked at that
one
page
item.
first. Yeah.
I know. Last year we just had one item. I think the landfill was a little overspent, but it was the depreciation that took
did
that
it.
over. So
No, this is awesome. You work very hard. You're and your staff. Great job.
Is now the time to ask for a raise?
Well, I was gonna say, we can't give you a raise. By statute, we can't give you a raise.
I'm just,
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
just kidding.
no.
and that's kind of the financial audit, but we also are required to do a single audit, which requires different reports that we look at.
And you went to what page?
And we're gonna go to page 127. And this is the listing of all the grants that Reen tracks and gives us, and then we check her, double check her, because this is what we look at for our grant audit. And the we always look at a major program, we call it. So if it's a larger program, it gets a much more in-depth look at. We look at the reports, make sure that you're spending it on the right items that are allowed. And that year, this year, the major program was the Coronavirus Relief Fund, the CARES Act. So we went through all of that, and happy to say we didn't have any findings that we had to report on that program that, you would later have to clear or, correspond with the federal agency. So that is another good news.
It's excellent. There's a lot of work on that too.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the recovery funds. Did you ask Pam about that ahead of time?
Yeah, we've kind of looked on Department of Treasury, and it looks like the reporting, since we're under 50,000 people population, only has to be done, was it April of 20?
Yeah, it's not as often. Yeah.
It's annually,
Uh-huh.
but we have to see about a NEU certification number, which is part of being under 50,000.
Yeah, they define, like, what is it? Non-entitlement unit is what Pershing County will be. And it's based on population. So under 50,000, you're a non-entitlement unit. And that has less reporting, but still reporting annually.
So my question is that we have determined that we have approximately 800,000 that is lost revenue. So can that just be designated as it's lost revenue, and then all we have to really do is track the remaining from that 800,000 to the 1.3?
Yeah, they say when you have lost revenue, you are supposed to spend that on general government services. So you would still kind of want to track it a little to say, because I think
Okay.
this report will say, okay, what general government services did you use the money on?
I just wanted Reen to be ahead of it so that.
Yeah, we've been looking at the reports this week, and I think the information just came out. I think all that's dated that we were looking at in
The
November.
webinar we did with NACO was back in June. Well, now we found reporting paperwork that's dated November 25th.
Oh, okay.
So I
So
think
they've
they're
updated.
just catching up with all the requirements. And I think they still have a couple open that aren't really resolved. But it looks like they're getting more to the point where at least like, okay, I think I'm going to be just the annual report.
Well, and I want to be sure that as a commission that we aren't causing her or her office more work than they need to have, that we're keeping in line with everything. So.
And one thing I couldn't find yesterday is just because sometimes you can go in and look at, okay, this is the actual report. I want to know where I'm headed. And I couldn't find that yet, but that might be coming here pretty quick, especially if these were all dated.
There's still some questions too, because the feds are wanting the state to be the banking agency. And when we did the CARES Act stuff, all the reports went to the state and then the state sent to the feds.
Right.
We're not sure how this one's going to work yet. It might be county to the feds and not even going.
Well,
through the
my
state.
understanding was it was direct,
Right.
to the federal government, to the
I
treasury.
think the federal government's pushing for the state
To pick it up.
report, and the state is saying no, so.
They don't know what they're doing.
No, not
Okay.
yet, quite yet.
Got it.
What's the word for the last 2 years? Fluid. Everything seems to be fluid these
Oh.
days. So that will be resolved, but right now, I think you will go directly to the feds. And hopefully, I think that last thing that we looked at, where you go in and key, had some screenshots of maybe what that report, will look like.
Okay.
And if there's a change that you would go to the state, that'll probably be communicated.
So should we have two account numbers? One that is for the things that are between the 800,000 and the 1.3, and another one that shows how we spent the 800,000? I'm just asking, and you don't have to answer now.
Yeah, or at least have an idea of what those general services, and the definition is very broad of
Mhm.
general services. So you could just have an idea of where, I don't know if, like, say you were gonna cover like clerk, treasurer, and all the general things in the general government. I don't know if you would have to move that to that line item, because it's really in their department. It would be more like okay, I spent this much on this. And this
It would
much
be
on
more
this.
like, we're purchasing a fire truck.
Yeah,
Not a pump, whatever it is, a brush
Brush
truck,
truck.
sorry. And we're gonna be doing other things. We would probably be hiring personnel that we wouldn't normally have hired because we didn't have the money.
and those
And
specific
those
things.
were okay to do.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking if maybe we should have two line, but this is a discussion you guys need to have. But I just wanted to bring it up so that she's ready.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
not having to backtrack or something.
Mhm.
Okay. Enough said.
And we do have one finding, and this is just a continuing finding, but whenever we prepare the financial statements, we have to report to you that we prepare the financial statements, but it is all based on the underlying information that comes from me. And the last item is just required. We have provided you a letter, and that we are required to just report to the board. The items in this letter cover like our responsibility on the audit, that we are responsible for the, accumulating or keeping the books and records. And then the one thing that we always have to report on is like to the board, is if we had any difficulties dealing with management or getting data that we requested, and we didn't have any problems at all.
Yeah, it's awesome. Great job.
So everything is good in a hard year though, just because we had, closures and CARES Act money, and that was fluid as things came out real quick, and then they kind of backtracked for the requirements. So I think it'll be a little better on this recovery funds, that you'll kind of have more guidance, but still it looks like it's just coming out, because all those were dated just November.
You'll have to go back and look and see what came out. So, Mr. Chair.
Good job.
Would you like a motion?
Yes, I would.
I'll make a motion that we approve and accept the FY 2021 audit report with our thanks to Hyde Bailey and to Lynn's office and our staff.
Yes, and Terry would have been here.
Well, I'm just glad she wasn't in
Yeah,
the
I told
accident.
her, she said, well, I think you're gonna have to do it. I've been, she texted me at like 9:30 when she stopped. I said, well, don't get in an accident
Yeah.
trying to get there. I said.
I'll second. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Good job. Good job.
You just need that one page.
Anything else you'd like to add? Having gone through our regular order of business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.